All right, guys, we're back again. I accidentally hit the off button, so this one is going to go in two takes again. Um, a recap talking about the first on the list for topics today snake in the grass. Again, I'm talking to my friend Black and whatnot, and he began to inform me about one of my old girlfriends. And going back in my, I guess you could say my junior high school years, something like that. And I had never known he had a crush for her. And he finally admitted it this week, and I was like, wow, here it is, my best buddy, my pal, and he wanted my girlfriend. It was bad enough all the other people in the neighborhood wanted my girlfriend, but like I said, et tu brute, that was the furthest thing from my mind. But he finally admits this and whatnot. And uh, something else about another one of my girlfriends coming up, that another friend of mine, he tried to, take her from me and all of this stuff. But what I say to that is, here we are 30, 40 years later and whatnot. And people that you hold dear to you, sometimes you never know. Because I was really, really shocked that him, out of all people, wanted my girlfriend. But he meant to tell me that. I mean, I guess you could say she was the debutante in the neighborhood, and I was the outsider who got her. All the other guys in the neighborhood she wouldn't deal with, but she dealt with me as soon as I moved to the neighborhood. So there was a whole lot of jealousy, but I never expected that coming from my buddy, my pal. So let's move on from that. Second one on the list is tattooed women. Now, I saw this last week, but I wasn't gonna say anything about it. I'm a little bit of a sissy, you can say, because I can't stand needles, pain. Okay, uh, but I started to notice a lot of women with a lot of tattoos. And I was like, wow, and they just, I mean, oh, Lord, I was like, oh man, it made me feel not for nothing like a little girl. They tougher than you. So I don't know. Number three, I labeled ship jumping. Somebody brought a question to me about, and even someone that came to me with this, and the word they use is convert. Are you a convert? Meaning you move from one path to another. And this disciple and these dealings with people along those veins is like, your parents may have been believed in one thing and raised you to believe in that same thing. But we as individuals uh, seek to define and identify ourselves through our experiences. And sometimes the experiences we have don't coincide with those of our parents and our ideals and beliefs, even though they shaped us. Um, it was just a way of seeing. And we begin to develop our own seeing. And this disciple always says this: we all look at the same things but see differently. And so he asked me, was that something, as you can say, sacrilegious in Buddhism? And what this disciple says with that is, there's a sutra we have on that. And what the Buddha said was, in so many respects, don't believe anything I say, put it to the test. And if you, whatever, I don't want to get into those things or with other paths and how they go about administering their teachings, the concept of living, and so on and so forth. But if you're following something you cannot question, then that's something you ought to think about. And especially when we talk about the discovery of truth. If you have given me something or spoken something that cannot question at all, then it must not be a truth. Because what this disciple has learned is that truth can stand up to any type of scrutiny. So if someone puts something before you labeled as such, and you cannot pound it, bend it, or what have you, then you need to, you know, question that. There was a lot more I wanted to say on that, but I got into the next topic is Matthew, and I do stress the word math. I got into a conversation with someone, and somehow we ended up. What it entails is the hidden geniuses among us. I remember in grade school, a guy named Matthew. All right, Matthew, and this was when I believe I went to school down south for a semester. It was fifth grade. Matthew could do any kind of math on his fingers, so much to the point that the teachers, administrators, I mean from all over, were very, very astonished. And this is coming from a child who was so-called problematic, as you would say, or as they are so fast to label children who don't fit their molds, or we as society label people who don't fit the molds that we are. Oh no, I'm trying to pour me some tea. Excuse me. I hate it. Let me do this. That don't fit the molds that we deem acceptable. And he is a rarity. And how we got to that conversation is like, how many other jewels have been out there? Well, I think the discussion was on potential. Well, my teacher used to tell me growing up, you have a lot of potential. You have a lot of potential. And I've grown to experience that potential is a dirty word. Because if a person has potential without proper guidance, it's like having two left feet. And this guy, Matthew, was, you can say, always a reminder of that. I mean, the young brother impressed me so much at a young age at that is, I still remember that brother. They could holler out any type of, mind you, I do not like math. I am not a mathematician. No, I think I told you guys before. Adding, addition, and multiplication, yes. That's finance. Yes, all day long. Subtraction and division, no. Anyway, again, I mean, I'm even remembering a time, and this was when I first left home, and I think it was my first year in the monastery. A young lady walked in, and she was just so ecstatic, so happy. I was like, all right. Again, I don't like to use these terms and whatnot, but her reality was a different reality than most of ours. She walked in, she was so happy. I'm like, okay, I'm excited too. What's going on? She said, I just graduated college, and a prestigious college at that. And I was like, wow. And that went to show me that, again, People can define you, but how is it that you do? How do you define yourself? You know, and I learned that from that young lady. She taught me that this disciple that whatever you want in life, you can achieve, regardless of whatever label somebody may put on you, you can do. So that's a little bit of that. Other one is milk football. Now I don't go into that. Oh, we were so dirt poor that this and this and that because we got into a conversation and somehow I don't know about y'all if y'all well you probably all know this from all over the world, but there was a place called the Boogie Down Bronx and another name for it was the Burnt Down Bronx, and I remember that growing up that their place was just full of abandoned buildings and rats. And what brought us to that conversation, that brought us to that conversation. And I remember in my childhood, not saying that we were so, you could say not for nothing, we were so poor, destitute, whatnot. No, but there were times when, because we got started talking about the burnt down Bronx, and I remember playing in them big dirty vacant lots and whatnot that used to be complexes and doing backflips or whatever it is on dirty, what do you call them things, mattresses and all that stuff. But I remember, but that's a choice I made, okay. I remember, and this was a game me and my little brother used to play, football, but we didn't have a football, so we played it with what is those gallon milk containers. Yeah, from fire hydrant to fire hydrant was the end zone, and our football was a gallon milk container. So I mean, ingenuity. Okay, like I said, it wasn't that we was that well off, but I don't know. I guess we pretended to be. Let me put it that way. Okay, I don't know. This one, I'm going to leave it alone. I had spoke to a young brother about it because it's something I'm seeing constantly. And from, I could say a male point of view, a monastic point of view, it's something that I find very distasteful. But again, I'm catching up, so to speak, on the way society, and in particular our younger population, how they have progressed in their youth and their camaraderie, and the clothing choices that some of us make. And I'm just going to leave that alone for another time. Okay, this was something that hit me, and this came off of, remember this little book here? Because I got to pull it out. This thing here, again, the teaching I can give you about stuff that is written, not everything that written holds a complete truth, and you have to guard yourself for being led into a train of thought, you know. I'm gonna just leave that with that. Now, what it was is the title is I Alone, and I want to read from this because this is a challenge, and this is something this disciple practices, and when it comes to us and our ideologies, especially what our ideologies are considering good and bad. Okay, and it says, even if everyone else is not doing good, I alone will. Even if everyone else, even if everyone else is doing wrong, I alone will not. Now, what this disciple will say to you with that is, that is a very beautiful teaching, and one that I urge people to take up. Again, the true strength of the warrior doesn't lie in the fringes of battle. He's in the thick of it, and the thickest of battle is within oneself. And when standing on a principle you have developed, and you're going against the wind, the grain, or what have you, how strong are you? Can you do it? There are people, and this comes with practice, because there were times, yeah, I'm not gonna move. This is the line of death. But if 10 people can't push you, go get 10 times 10. Okay. And another analogy with that is like our friend here on the table. I call it pullers pushing a buffalo up a hill. I'm just not moving. Move. Okay. So when you practice it to where you develop purity within yourself to that standard, then, very good. That's what this disciple strives for each and every day, and looks for that in others. The last title was Things That Men Do. I was going to go into a whole tirade, but I think I'm not. What I am going to speak about, though, is challenges. Yesterday, how can I say this? Okay, us bravado. All right. Yesterday, you can say my bravado was snatched from me. Somebody confronted me about something trivial, I might add, and I took you can say, the simple road by shrieking instead of standing up. And with this disciple, why I'm speaking about that is because it's that constant play. It's that constant play within ourselves of our ego versus what? Well, just leave it. Our ego, of who we perceive ourselves to be against who we are striving to be, and you can say something of the kin of loss of faith. All right, and this is something that this disciple learns in other communities is very important. But coming from a Buddhist and monastic standpoint, there is no room for a monastic to have faith of anything. Um, what I'm saying is, there was a struggle within myself of, again, felt like a little girl. I was chumped. I'm not gonna try to pretty this thing up. But the reasons for it. Well, put it this way: this disciple learned to value things, and one thing is to value this life. You have a portion of society, our brothers and sisters, who their view on life is narrow and minuscule. For those of us who not for nothing practice goodness, then there's beauty in so many things around us. Within ourselves, we see beauties in the beauty in others. Even with the event that happened, I saw beauty in the sense that the energy this young brother had, although it may, again, potential. You have a vitality and an energy that's utilized and directed in the wrong way towards the wrong things. So I don't know. let me not go on too long about these things, but one of these days I'm gonna get back to these other topics, or you know, maybe even really well sit down and give a full accounting of some of the things I talk about, or some of the things that this disciple feels needs to be discussed in society. And with that, bless you guys. The motto.